Okay.
Hello, everybody. We are here tonight at the BIPOC Happy Hour. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is Friday. It's been a hell week, but we are glad to be here. And I want to introduce y'all to my wonderful panel. This is the Happy Hour. This is the Pride. And tonight we have a special guest with us. We've got Angela Meyers here,
Thank
Vice
you.
President of the NAACP, and we are so happy to have her with us. How's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing good.
I'm
Doing
back
well.
because I don't know who our president is and I don't know how to move forward.
Wait.
Well, this is
Patience is
perfect
a
time to
virtue.
say that again,
Patience,
sign
wait,
up.
wait, wait.
I
Patience,
said wait. Patience is a virtue. Let them count every vote.
patience is a virtue.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want
Whatever
to be
that
virtuous.
means.
Whatever. You know what I was trying to say. Wait.
I'm trying to
Wrong.
understand. My future is at stake. I need to get more money in, unless I'm going to be a dinosaur. So, what happens to my life? I have
Well,
to
this is
wait
a
till
perfect
next week.
segue. We're going to segue in and bring Angela in and let her introduce herself, and then we can grill her good. Now, welcome, Angela. Thank you. Come on in and talk to us.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Angela Rose Meyers. I'm the second vice president for the Minneapolis NAACP, which stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Minneapolis branch. And the Minneapolis branch has been here in Minneapolis since 1914. So I'm excited to be here, excited to talk to you all about the election, current happenings, and what you all are up to as well.
So you work for them since 1914?
No, I haven't worked for them since
Yes,
1914,
you have. That's
unfortunately.
Botox, honey. That's Botox.
And second of all, it's a volunteer organization, so I don't even get paid. So I just do it out of the goodness
Really?
of my little heart.
No,
That
that's
I
something I
didn't know.
didn't know.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So everybody, Leslie, me, Anika, Bowie, we're all volunteers.
Oh.
Well,
Wow. That's
how,
awesome. That's
how can you
something to know.
afford to do that?
I can't, but I'm happy to keep going.
Wow.
There's something going around in social media that came from the NAACP. How about us protecting ourselves, because me being a black man and also black women and children should protect themselves and stay in, because the white supremacies or white hate groups are initiating people or something like that. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah,
Or
so that's actually false information. So the National NAACP released a statement about this actually today. And then also this is something that is it's called copy pasta. Okay, I don't know where they come up with these names, but basically what is going viral is a copy and paste form of sharing of misinformation. So yeah, in recent days, several social media platforms, basically all of my aunts and uncles have posted statements purporting that the NAACP received information about white nationalist groups doing an initiation this weekend. The National NAACP doesn't have such information, has not released any statements. The Minneapolis NAACP hasn't released any of these statements. But, I feel like what is, the reason why it's going viral really is because people are scared. There's a fear that, this type of misinformation basically pries on because we as a people are being targeted by white supremacist groups. We have been for the last 400 years. We've been targeted by white supremacists. But unfortunately, fortunately, this is false. This is a false statement. This is false information that's being spread. But we cannot let fear trick us into sharing this misinformation. And, though, yes, we should always be aware of our surroundings and our personal safety and knowing who to contact when in need, like the Attorney General's office, the Minnesota Department of Human Rights. If we see or feel or suspect that there are any white nationalist groups meeting, but we cannot let this fear trick us into, sharing misinformation, into changing our lives, because at this moment right now, this is not true. These initiations are not true. And these white supremacist groups we don't have information that they're meeting to do anything, any initiations or any of that sort this weekend. So
Well,
still
Angela,
live your lives.
Well, Angela, should I go and get my conceal and carry? Is it time to get the conceal and carry? Isn't that time?
So, I mean, the question is that what you want to do? I mean, this summer we've seen so many people get concealing carries, you know, like even for over the protests, the uprisings after George Floyd's murder, we saw a lot of people feeling the need to protect themselves. And, you know, I would say do what's best for you and your family. But in this case, in this instance, that information that was shared about the NAACP having, having information on white supremacist groups doing initiations this weekend, that's not true. And so the threat level has not changed. You know, so you know how they had that threat level of, the orange, all the way. The threat level has not changed. So there's nothing to be on high threat level watch for this weekend, supposedly for, the information that we have. But Sina, I see you have some faces. What are your thoughts?
I do know that like gun sales have been up. There's a shortage of ammunition. There have been folks that have come on the news and have spoken about their willingness to engage in conflict violently if this current president is not reelected or if they feel like the election has been stolen. Now, these are folks sharing their stories and viewpoints on the news. So these are human beings. And so while this chain letter or whatever is being spread around may not be true, I still think that I don't trust white people like that right now.
The capability for them to do something is still there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I believe so because I have family in DC and I live here. You understand what I'm saying? I'm in total Paleville. You understand?
In the snow.
Plus the snow. So it's a difference. I know by Washington D.C. being up in alarm and buying food and things like that is needed because they are in D.C. But I think that as African Americans should always be on alert because during this year it has been really hateful things going on. Well, it's been going on, but it's really been prevalent lately. You know what I mean? And I'm not necessarily saying here, but I'm looking at it. I don't speak to people anymore.
Well, would that be any different than it's been going on, like Angela said, for the last 400 years?
I see it more now.
Is this any different?
Me being 42 years old, I'm seeing more hate now than I ever seen in my lifetime. I really didn't grow up around hating or being around people that hate. You understand what I'm saying? That's the reason why I'm me. So, but now that I'm looking at things differently, I'm 42 and I'm fighting with myself because not only that, I'm a people's person. I can speak to anybody. Everybody can be my friend. But right now, I'm looking at people with a side eye, and that goes against my whole being. You understand what I'm saying? Right now, I don't even speak to my neighbors unless they speak to me. You feel me? Because I don't know what side you're in. Some people walk straight.
Are you bitter and old? Because I mean,
on this side
is that what is going on? Because I mean, huh?
Are you bitter?
Bitter and old is what we got. Because half of us are over 40. If you're over 40, you bitter now. Oh, no comment. I'm just asking. I mean, Angela was being optimistic, and we were saying we still bitter from being old.
Well, why would you bitter from being old? I mean, you've already been around this block, and it can and cannot happen. I mean,
But do we need to get arms, or do we need to be more understanding?
Understanding of what? That they can still kill you if you don't have an arm, or if you do.
How long you work for the NAACP?
I'll be volunteering for a year and a half. or 2 years now. Wow, 2 years.
2 years.
What?
So does it? How are you going to be the vice president?
So after I graduated from college, I came back home and became a member of the NAACP. And then Leslie, really, after just seeing the work that I was doing, she appointed me to the position to vice president.
Damn.
So during this George Floyd and everything that was going on, what has NAACP has done? You know, I
Yep.
know.
So during the protests, in the uprising, the NAACP did organize actually armed individuals outside of North Minneapolis businesses, Black businesses, to protect neighborhoods. And then afterward, that group went on to become a separate group called the Minnesota Freedom Fighters. And so maybe you've seen them around now, but they've gone off into a separate group with their own, money and structure so that they can be sustainable in their own group and in their own way. And so then since then, we did books and breakfast, trying to nourish the kids of, the community. We've done healing sessions, healing circles to talk about, the trauma that was experienced, particularly by the youth that were out on the streets those nights. We have done prayer circles, things like that for the spiritual health and wellness for folk, because some people, they didn't want to go to a mental health circle, a healing circle, but they were happy to go to a prayer circle. But we were talking about similar things.
Wow.
We made sure to talk about the census, get out the vote, do all of that part as well since the uprising. So also the National NAACP with the Minneapolis NAACP did give grants through also the Bay Good, which is Beyonce's organization, to like Sammy's Eatery and other small Black owned businesses that were impacted by the uprisings.
So how do you raise funds and stuff like that to do that?
So most of these funds that we raised during the for like the protecting Black businesses, that was individual donations. So it was literally people from across the country donating money to our branch. And then for the grants, that came through the Beyonce's Bay Good Foundation and also the National NAACP.
Do y'all take corporate dollars?
So for corporate dollars, usually that's the National NAACP. We haven't really anything really from corporate. We have taken some funds from the state of Minnesota, particularly around COVID-19, but not really like that. No, all of our money really comes from individual donations. And this is all new because before all of this happened, it was our money came from our membership dues.
So I am Black, but I also am gay. I'm an LGBTQ family. What do the National NAACP do for people like me?
Yeah, so we push policy, and then also we have a new fantastic group, particularly with the Next Gen, which is the next generation of leaders, which has started the LGBTQ and NAACP program. So that's bridging people across the nation who are in the NAACP and also LGBTQ. And they really push forward for community engaging in, things like Black Pride and making sure that our older members are well versed as well in how to even come and talk to somebody. And so making sure that people are knowledgeable, and then also making sure that when people are part of the NAACP, they have avenues to leadership. So pushing policy within the NAACP to make sure that, there's no ceilings for folk, because if you can do the work, you can do the work. So that's exactly what NAACP does. The Minneapolis branch has been pretty accepting, but there's always work to do. And that's the sad and unfortunate thing, is that there's always going to be work to do, particularly with some of these folk who they say, oh, this is new to me. I'm like, well, this is not a new thing. Like, come on, like,
Not
this
at
isn't
all.
new. Yeah. So
So
it's
is it a nonprofit?
Yeah, so we have a 501c3, but we're 501c4. But yes.
So y'all work both of them.
What's 50C4?
So
Political.
501c3 versus a 501c4 is really just minutia of politics, of what things politically you can do. And then also legal minutiae with the IRS. So this is all classifications under the IRS.
For those who didn't know, just wanted to make sure you know.
Yes.
All right, you had to get that out there. Go ahead, get that out there.
But yes, but like I said earlier, I don't get paid for this work. I really, I'm just a volunteer. And I think that that's something that our community should know, because at the end of the day, why would you want to be a member to a group that isn't doing any work, isn't making any change, and isn't accepting to you? So, I mean, there's no point at all. So
You shed a little light on the NAACP for the few moments that you've been here. A few things I didn't know the NAACP participated with. I really appreciate that.
LGBTQ. I didn't know they helped. I mean, deal with us. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I just know
Do
they
they
help the
do
black.
they do collaborations?
yes, we have a lot of collaborations that we're open to. I mean, right now, we have a memorandums of understanding with all of the D9, so like the AKAs, the alphas, all of them. But I mean, the Minneapolis NAACP is always open to collaborating. That's one of the 3 C's that Leslie has put forward. She said collaboration, compassion, and I forgot the other C, but once I think of it, I got you.
We're gonna hold you to that one.
So how do you partner with the LGBTQ community?
So, I mean, that's an opportunity, for us to collaborate. I would love to expand that, particularly as, we're going into a new season and a new term. And I hope to really invest in the LGBTQ community, simply because this is our community. This is our community, like this is it. And so I'll be really happy to collaborate further. But to tell you very honestly, it's really just been through having members who are, queer, LGBTQ, who, reach out, but not really anything formally recently. Just doing things around, sexual health and wellness with, young kids, but that doesn't mean of anything for gender orientation or sexual orientation or gender. But we did talk about issues, but that was like very minimum. That was very basic. So much more, and I really hope that is a focus going into the future. And I mean, this is a time, if you want to know more, if you want to get involved, I'd be happy to have you.
Well,
How
thank
do you
you.
get involved?
Mm-mm.
How would you get involved? What would you do to get involved? How would that happen? How
Yes.
I mean,
So
we've
that
been
could
doing.
mean anything from, financial support and collaboration of programs. That could mean anything of a memorandum of understanding between organizations. So like if your organization wants to have a formal relationship with the Minneapolis NAACP, we can write that up. And that could mean, doing a set of programs over a year, or in the long term over a couple of years. That could mean financial contributions. That could mean, I mean, the thing is we just don't have we're not like some of these organizations that have millions of dollars. We have, we have what we really just got from this summer. It's not that much. But it's really something where whatever it seems best and seems like it's not so transactional, but actually building relationship. And, that could mean manpower. We do have volunteers to help, whatever you all are doing. If you need any manpower, that could mean that. It could mean, when we're having a program, co-sponsoring with you all, inviting you all into some of the things that we're doing, particularly around policy, because we have a national mandate to definitely push some, focused policy on LGBTQ rights, particularly in Minnesota, when it ends ending the conversion therapy, things like that. So we have some national mandates that we have to push that we would love to work with people about.
So do NAACP course work with other small Black businesses?
Yes, yes. So for some of the things that we work with for small back businesses, that can mean like, okay, so we got Sammy's Eatery up in North Minneapolis, right?
Yes.
When we did the books and breakfast, Sammy's Eatery was the breakfast. So, we have collaborations, however best we can incorporate you all into, the programs that we're doing. And that's fantastic. So that,
That's how you
something to
build.
keep aware of.
Well, Angela, just a slight thing now. Well, how is the NAACP working with the policing situation in Minnesota? How
Yeah.
is that
So,
going? We haven't heard a lot about that lately.
right. So with the policing situation, we are on a, transforming police coalition. We're still pushing a lot of the same police reforms that we were pushing before this summer. And then also really working with Chief Arredondo to change the culture inside the Minneapolis Police Department and offering advising however we can, working closely with him to really change that culture of racism, toxic.
How do you even begin that conversation with
So,
changing the
I mean, one of
culture
the
and the
ways that
good
we've
old
done
boy
it,
things?
one of the ways that we've done it is by the cadets, right? So Minneapolis Police Department has a special boot camp for its own like cadets, right? For its own entering police officers. So during that boot camp and training, we have members of our criminal justice committee. They facilitate and parts of their boot camp. They just spoke at the last graduating classes the graduating classes graduation, and they've actually formed relationships and meeting with these people. So, and then before some of the folk get hired, you gotta keep an eye out, and doing that type of work as well. So before, and then also while police officers, we work on policy for their new oath. The Chief Arredondo just instilled like a new oath that the police officers take that is centered around racial equity and treating everyone with fairness and protecting everyone. And so that's some of the things that we've done. We're pushing for more different police reforms and working with different organizations as well. There's an organization called, I think it's like 1-to-1, and they do like mentorship type programs with the police department, and then getting the police officers involved in community, and getting community also involved back with the police officers. So not
Are you all still doing the
in
social?
police capacity.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to ask:
No,
are
go
you
for it.
all still doing the equity training with the police officers? I just lost my train of thought on the actual word I'm looking for. Yeah, President Trump said he didn't want any more. The racial bias training,
Diversity,
the
yeah,
diversity and racial bias.
inclusion, and
Yes.
yeah.
Are y'all? Is that a mandatory thing with the police department, or is that just if they feel like taking it, or if it's that month and somebody got killed, we'll take it? I mean, how does that play into what the NAACP is doing with the police department?
Nah, I would have to check. That's a great question, because I'm not sure if it's mandatory even by the policing, as in like mandatory for their job, or mandatory by via the city, like the city mandates that they do it. I don't know. So I would have to follow up with you, because I don't know that.
Okay. That's good stuff. Good stuff. You really enlightened on a lot of information the NAACP does that like I said, I had no idea. And me getting involved with LGBTQ issues is now making me want to expand and, get into more of these things, especially with our current presidential situation. We need to build up every individual organization to create a good, strong, healthy community for us.
Well, I guess that's my question: is how do you all see, how do you all see the NAACP really doing more on LGBTQ issues, and what would you want to see?
I would love. This would be my dream idea. Some kind of way we should work on finding a way to build an LGBT center here and get some kind of conversation going around that. because since the NAACP been around since 1914, the national organization, we should start building that conversation from a Black perspective and to find a way to, you know, uh, build together, work together in civic engagement, explain exactly what you guys do at NAACP and why you guys exist, and making that more prevalent to what's going on, and show how that working with NAACP and the LGBT community, how that mirrors each other is in the Black community, because we're all the same. How do we get that buy-in? Like, so you had something to say?
Our space is in construction now. We have a board. We have sites. We're working with the Minneapolis Forward campaign for land development and build out. So yeah, I'd be curious to hear how we could partner with the NAACP around that. And I also just wanted to ask you, Angela, to kind of reiterate what you were saying about the earlier conversation, because I know lots of BIPOC leaders got this message by text alert and an email this morning. And so what I feel like I heard you say is we are not necessarily at any more threat today than we have been over the last 400 years. And that it's always good to be vigilant. Is that the gist of what you were saying earlier? Because I feel like I heard you say like NAACP has not received this warning specifically, and
So
you know
that's
this
a
has,
great point for clarification. And yeah, no, that's on me. Basically, yeah, that's essentially how what I said and how it could be taken. To be honest, I personally do not know about any threats, when it comes to white supremacists, but I personally don't know what's going to come. I don't really know right now what is organizing what is happening that in spaces that they don't want me, so yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say always take your personal safety and be aware, and what that means for you is what that means for you. The Minneapolis NAACP and the NAACP is nonviolence on the full, non-violence, kind of anti-guns generally. So I mean, that is just kind of where I am. And I agree that what I've said earlier and what I'm saying right now has different nuances and different underneath. I can definitely say that. I meant my own.
Oh, you hit the mute button. I thought thought you were still talking.
Oh, y'all got quiet now.
Well,
No,
I
I mean
thought you were still
this is a
talking.
scary time. It's a scary time, and I don't want to, lie to people.
Well,
Like,
just
I'm
like you,
scared.
well, just like
I
you
like.
said and Rock said, is it any different than it was last week? Because you can still walk outside and a
Well,
supremacist can throw a brick at you. It doesn't matter. It could
it's
be at
totally
any
different.
time.
It's a total different atmosphere than last week. See, last week they was fighting for what
Under your perception. Mm-hmm.
they under. I feel because last week they was trying to make us not vote. So now that they seeing that, oh, he won because it's. Blind person can see that. So now they in their feelings that we did vote and we voted the way we did. You understand? I mean, and they trying to stop it, but they can't. You know what I mean? It's
It's
the
too
law.
late to stop it. I mean, the votes is done. You can't stop that.
So does this mean we need more civic engagement situations where we tell people exactly what's going on and be clear?
At least be educating the kids so they can grow up and know these processes.
Educating everyone, not just the kids, everyone, because some of us adults get this message. We don't know if to believe it or not. If we were more, listen, it didn't come from us. We don't know where it's coming from. Take the threat as you do. Make sure you stay safe. Because, I mean, more of that kind of stuff, letting people know, listen, this is not from us. We don't know where it's coming from, but be cautious. And if that civic engagement, let people know who's what, who to call, where they can get more information from, stuff like that. Is it our duty to do that to make sure we get that done?
I think that's perfect. Also, I think it should be also fun for we need to back the Underground Railroad. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it real though. For the protesters, the ones that's out there fighting for us, the ones that's talking about it. You understand? I think that should be like something where they can call a number or a secret number and give us a call or a code, and we be like, hey, you can come here, you know, and stay undercover. Because I know people personally that's really going through stuff because they're out there fighting for me. You know what I mean? So I feel that it should be something like that out here. I mean, you know, that where we can protect these folks that's using their voice when we sit home doing what we do. You know what I mean? We may not be doing what they do, but they out there. You know what I'm
And it's
saying?
really unfortunate is that like we saw it this summer. It's not a, imagination or a figment of, reading something or hearing from, our ancestors or our elders. Like this was something that we saw white supremacists on the ground. And, like when we were in North Minneapolis protecting Black businesses, there were white supremacists one night that did shoot at the, NAACP volunteers. Right. And that's
Really?
something like it wasn't like you didn't hear about it because I mean, the Washington Post ran an article and the first thing they say is, we couldn't prove that it was actually white supremacists or this actually happened.
Because white supremacists come in all colors, shapes, and sizes. And it can be even the ones that were supposed to be protecting us. You understand what I'm saying? That's the reason why I feel they're not out here putting it out there like that, because it's those ones that's supposed to be protecting us. A prime example, Graham, North Carolina. The cops literally was pepper spraying these kids out here that's trying to go out there and peaceful vote. They was in a march down there happy, and you go out there and pepper spray them. They just bring back memories back when Malcolm X and Martin Luther King was here. You understand? I mean, everyone is nonviolent. You know, I understand it and I believe that wholeheartedly. But when things happen like that, it makes you feel like you really have to protect yourself some type of way. You know what I mean? Not just with your voice, but any kind of way that may happen. Shoot, you may have a pot of lye on the stove, you know, old grandma in 1960.
Oh,
You know what I
Lord.
mean? You know what I'm saying? You come my way, I throw your way. You feel me? But I'm just saying it makes you feel that way. And I don't want no one to be sleeping. You know, they're thinking that white supremacists is just people that's wearing our colors. Because it can be judges, it can be doctors, it can be all shapes, forms, and sizes of who the crazy folks can be.
So does the NAACP has a large, community-based situation where they get to a lot of people? Do they have a lot of social media following? How does it work in Minneapolis?
So yeah, no, we're utilizing our social media the best that we can. So our social media, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Feel free to follow us at NAACP and PLS. But we have, just like I would say, it looks like. Let me bring it up. For Twitter, it's 9,000. For Facebook, it's like 13. And then for Instagram, it's 5. But the issue with social media too, although our analytics do say that most of the people are, Minnesota based, there's really, the telling of, is this the community members specifically in North Minneapolis and Black community members? I would say that like our Facebook mainly has more like community leaders, Black community members that like really engage with our Facebook. Our Instagram, it really has a lot of more of these, young white liberal kids who are engaging with our Instagram. Our Twitter, it's strange. It's a mix. It's a mix. But I think that, that's something that's real when we're talking about also social media strategy and putting out information. Unfortunately, I think, a lot of the misinformation that I see is on Twitter. And Twitter, somebody, literally this happened to us. Somebody took one of our posts, flipped it, reversed it, tried to make something out of nothing because they tried to deep fake it. Like that was never had to deal with that ever. But they
Till
basically,
now.
They were exactly until now. It was literally like they were trying to make a whole lot of stuff out of a guy who was arrested and he had, marijuana on him, which, what do I care? And then he said that he was going to the NAACP, to protect the neighborhood during the uprising. And it's like, this is okay. I mean, the guy was arrested. Yes, but it wasn't anything in connection with us. But he was coming. He just had marijuana on him. Like we wouldn't have turned him away if he smelled of anything.
Right.
So it was a lot of strange stuff that was happening, and yeah, social media can be a double-edged sword. That's what we're seeing right now. It can spread a lot of misinformation, and it can also be a really great way to get out our true agenda to our people, especially during COVID. COVID has isolated so many people. We are on the ground, but it's not like a lot of people are seeing us. Like when
I've seen more of you all since COVID. Since COVID, I have seen a lot more, because I do follow you all, but I have seen a lot more during this time than ever before. I didn't know you all
we had to
existed
be more
now.
intentional with posting what we're doing on social media, right? Because I guess pre-COVID, there was an idea, well, if you're doing the work, you don't need to post about it on social media, right? Like you don't really need to, keep on taking photos or whatever. And that's still true, but like the opportunities to get involved for community members, they find out more on social media now than they do by putting up flyers or posters, things like that. But also word of mouth really works still well today as it did any other day. So, that's just for organizing in this new world, right?
Right.
Not to digress, do the NAACP have a policy on marijuana? How they feel or don't feel? Is that, legalizing it? Is that an issue?
Yeah, so we're for decriminalization of marijuana, releasing people who are on, long old marijuana charges, and then also, doing that work to really. So here's the part of the NAACP that I'm just going to let you in on. Just like there is the national, but the national NAACP doesn't really run local policies. It's really up to the local branches to determine their local policies. And as of yet, we haven't really crafted a local policy around marijuana for right now, other than decriminalization. But
that's the biggest thing.
That could be subject to change. That could be
I'll
subject to
take
change.
decriminalization.
That's something that, for the branches, we have to vote on these things. So for policy agendas, things like that. So we're in a lot of ways beholden to our membership, and then also we're not supposed to go against the state conference and the national NAACP, but we still get to craft our own policies when, appropriate. And this would be a point, I believe, that would be really open to a lot of potential for, pushing a policy on. And if our members vote it, so that means I would expect all of you all who are particularly strong on this to become and then vote on it, because that's how it works. We're beholden to our members and our community that way. So it's not, when you see us, we're advocating for things on the policy level, it's not just because Leslie or Angela or Anika thinks it's a good idea. And even if it is, it's really because the membership has agreed on it, and then the national NAACP has okayed it. So that's the tension of where we are.
How do you become a member?
Well, hold on.
So you can become a member on NAACP.org/membership, and you pay $30. Okay, you just got to live or work in Minneapolis or Hennepin County. And then you're a member, and then start showing up, start coming to, we have Zoom meetings right now because of COVID. So you can come to the Zoom meetings and, get involved. Like that's really it.
Have you seen an increase in membership since George Floyd or any of the other tragedies that have hit us? Have you seen increased membership?
Yeah, so we definitely have seen an increase in membership, but I would say more volunteers. So there's been a lot of people who volunteered. But in membership, yes, we've seen a slight increase in membership. Nothing that I would say is, like, wow, like sit back in my chair. But I think that a lot of community members, maybe they just don't know how to get involved, or, they want to get involved and need that first step. And, this is where we can have a lot of potential. We have a lot of potential to grow, to activate in this new space, activate community members. And that's, unfortunately, we're changing from a full paper system where it used to be you just showed up to a meeting, you paid your $30 at the meeting, you sign a paper, and then you're a member, to now a whole virtual system. So it's easier, to become a member. But you still need to get involved. And that part, I think, is the activation part that we're going to be working on this winter.
So how do you become a part of the Zoom meetings?
Exactly. So to be a part of the Zoom meetings, you don't have to be a member. These are open to the public. So we have a Zoom meeting, this Monday, and then the information is on our Facebook page, on our website, how to register for the Zoom meeting. So it's open to the public. Anybody can come. And, that's where we give a lot of good information about what we've done. We give our reports. Every officer gives their report. And then also, we do things like we say how much is in the bank. Like we're very transparent, so that's one of the things that like we do. So the reports go in the order of, president, vice president, treasurer, then secretaries. And the treasurer's report is, about the money we have in the bank and, what we're planning to do with it. And, that's just, all of our organizational necessities right there. So if you want to know what we're up to, what we did the last month, and then what we're planning on doing, opportunities to get involved. And, you want to get, maybe structurally involved in the NAACP, which there will be, upcoming a lot of, committee opportunities and openings coming up. So that's something to stay tuned about. So that's, we're going into full transparency. We're going into a new term. And where we're having elections for NAACP Minneapolis, as well as we're having these national elections, but we're having these elections for NAACP Minneapolis, and that's going to be this Monday.
And what is the website to get involved? So they have it again?
NAA, so NAACP.org/membership.
Y'all hear that? NAACP.org/membership.
And we're not the only branch here. There's a St. Paul branch. There's 5 branches in Minnesota. So you got the St. Paul branch. Yes, you got the St. Paul branch. You got the Duluth branch. You got the Minneapolis branch. You got St. Cloud, and you got Rochester. So there's 5 branches, NAACP branches here in Minnesota.
Are there Black people that live in the last 2 places?
In Rochester, yes. Yeah.
There are?
Yes.
Okay. Just
they work for Mayo Clinic. I mean, I won't say anything else, but
Okay.
I have a question. Now, I understand. I heard that you said y'all did a lot during COVID. Like for the communities and different things. Now, a lot of things has changed. A lot of us African American people has literally stayed home and figured out some things how to make money. Start new businesses and different things. Now, the question I have, like Lake Street is empty almost. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of vacancies all over the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. Now, is it a program where you all can help other people of color to start their business and get it moving like Sammy's? Because I remember how Sammy started with Neon. You know what I'm saying? So he went through Neon, and a lot of other places went through Neon. Now, is it something that NAACP can help with the community of people that starting their businesses?
No, that's a great idea. And, we haven't talked about that yet, but, can't wait till you're a member and you're on our economic inclusion committee and you pushing that.
You don't want me a member of your board?
I do. I think it'll be great. Why not? I think it'll be fantastic. And then also, I mean, there's an idea right now. This is a little bit just like nerdy, but of like new technologies helping amplify small businesses. So, in traditional understandings of a startup or starting up a new business, it is going to the bank and getting a loan. But we know that most of these banks in Minnesota are discriminatory lenders. And so they don't don't lend or they don't give out loans, or if they do give out their loans, it's at higher rates than, you know, for white folk. So what a lot of POC, and then particularly right now because of COVID, a lot of people have been doing is doing like these GoFundMe's, these Kickstarters, doing like pre-sales. And that's like really interesting to me, how we are utilizing technology to really undercut and discriminatory practices. And, you know, like we just like, you know, grandma did when she made something out of nothing, we're really making something here.
Social media, especially like TikTok and other joints, you know.
I love it. Like there are whole businesses and they're just on Instagram, you know, like that's so cool.
The whole business just on TikTok, and they selling body soaps and making clothes and weaves and nails. I'm like, oh shoot, y'all selling nails on TikTok? I mean, hey, that's what I'm so proud of. And it's these young kids that's out here doing that. I mean, that's younger than me. But we have our older people that's doing it too. But these young kids are prevalent out here selling bundles and eyelashes. And it's just it's good that they have the entrepreneurial spirit. But I want to make sure that we are, as we older, or we have organizations out here that's able to push them out there to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then also give them mentorship, because you need like an EIN number. The IRS is going to be on you if you make, you know, over a certain amount of money. You know, like there are certain things that you know, even just like from a business perspective of supply and demand, or even in scaling your business, there are good things to learn from community and from, you know, a different intergenerational conversations around business. And that financial literacy piece is going to be so crucial. But I think that unfortunately, a lot of these financial literacy talks that I've personally gone to, they haven't caught up yet with that tech space. They haven't, you know, yet caught up. Like, I can invest on Cash App. Yeah, you know, like I can invest in Cash App. Yesterday, I sold my Bitcoin because it was sky high. Like, yo, like, how did I, you know, I just knew to just.
You didn't even know you had it.
I didn't know I had it. I just had it on Cash App. I just bought, you know, some Bitcoin last year because I thought, oh, Bitcoin is funny. Like, I felt like that's cool. And then I sold it. I mean, man.
I buy everything on Cash App. I do Bitcoin. I'm with Pepsi. It's whatever. You could just have $1 and you invest it into it. Eventually it will grow. But, you know, keep putting into it. And it's cool that Cash App, it makes it that easy for you to invest. You know what I mean? Because a lot of folks don't know that, you know, it's a waiting game. You can invest in Walmart, and Walmart stuff goes up all the time. But right now, I'm looking at some other stuff, technology. Like I'm looking for who's really doing this vaccine. So I can invest in that. You know what I mean?
I want to thank Angela for being here again. Not to cut off for anybody. I just want to take time out to thank Angela Meyers for being here with the NAACP. I want to thank you, and I know the whole panel wants to thank you for being here again, because it's almost that time.
I got a question. You know, as we move forward on thinking about our Black businesses and making money, I know I got a Cash App thing on my thing the other day about, I got 2,000 friends. If everybody can send me $1 on Cash App, right? So that, you know. And it was asking if we can all do that for each other, send each other $1, you know, all of our friends, you know, and invest in that and do something with that. You know, how do we bridge those gaps like that, you know, working with the different organizations and making sure that, you know, even if, Bobby, I know you sell cakes, how do we get our holiday cakes and make sure that we buy them from somebody that we know and that we support and keep that money going and find a way to do an investment program?
And they support the community.
No, there's like a number of really cool ways that people are doing different cooperative or mutual sharing, mutual funds type things. And so, you know, this is actually like in the era of, we have my aunt, she just joined a Susu. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's like, I can't explain it correctly, but it's like you initially put in 1,000 and then everybody it's like, let's say there's 12 people, everybody once a month, they put in 1,000. and there's one person, they receive, you know, that contribution that everyone put in. So it's like it's just like as if it'd be the same as if you put in $1,000 every month into your bank account, but you know, it's just if you don't have it, like, you'll just get all of that all at once, right? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to wait 12 months, and ideally, right? There's susus, there's things of like cooperatives, of mutual sharing, ideas that some people are definitely doing right now to get through COVID and through, you know, loss of jobs and things like that, you know, paying each other's bills. I see definitely on Twitter a lot is, you know, someone being like, here's a kid or a student who lost their financial aid and they need, you know, funds to get through, or to get a laptop, to do XYZ, to make rent, stuff like that. And there are, you know, people who are willing to contribute to those folks. And just like that type of mentality is the type of mentality that we really do need going forward, I believe. It is not really as capitalistic. It's more of just like a mutual, like we all grow together type of thing. Like, I'm willing to invest in my you know, my person next to me, the person next to me, because I know when the person next to me is hurting, I'm hurting. And so I really want them to do well, because when they do well, I get to share in their success, not only in seeing them do well, but in the avenues that they create, they're also creating for me and mine and those who come after me, right? And so that's definitely a type of mentality that I do see that we need going forward. And it needs to be more than just socially and bringing, you know, opportunities, but also financially as well. And we're getting to that point, I think, as a community. Unfortunately, once you say Black person and money, like, people are like zoomed in. people
Right.
people are zoomed in on the pocket watching. Once you say Black people and money, like, the IRS comes out of nowhere. You know, all of these people are pocket watching. All of these people, you know,
Bro, we
there's
can
a lot of
change a
things
lot
that
of that.
happen. Yeah, and so we need to change that.
Yeah.
Well, again, Angela, we really appreciate you being here. Thank you for spending time with us here at the happy hour and taking time out of your week. Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope this is not the last time I see you. I hope I see all of you on Monday at
Oh,
our
most
Zoom
definitely.
meeting. I hope I see
But
all of you again. Please invite me back.
What's the address for the Zoom? What's the address for the
yeah,
Zoom
make
meeting?
sure you give it to whoever invited you. Give them that information so we all can have it.
Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that in the email that
so
I have. I'll just send that back.
how about we do this? How about we put it on our calendars to make sure that every time it comes up for the rest of the year, that we know when it happens. And maybe we can share, like, get on our meeting at the same time they are doing our meeting, and bring other people, you know, to see what's
Yes.
going on.
So our
Oh, we
meetings
can
are the
share,
second Monday of every month. So the
oh,
second
we can
Monday
share
of every
your
month at 7 p.m.
or we can share your meeting on our platform. You know, like
Yes.
double thing, and we just watch with them. You know.
Yes. It's public.
Yes.
It's public. Everyone is open. And, you know, I hope that, you know, as people join, they get invested in the community. And then I think the great thing about the NAACP is that, you know, our mission is for the economic and social advancement of colored people, of, you know, Black people particularly. And what that means something different in different period of time, and then also part of the community, and then also different regionally as well, and where we are in policy and politics. And so that can be moldable for what our visions for our Black futures are. And for me, that's why I'm inviting you all, because I feel like you have, like, yeah, just from these conversations, I can definitely like feel and tell that this is such an intelligent, you know, deeply rooted, grounded group. And funny too. And I like the funny part, you know, funny too.
Flattery will get you everything.
And so I really want, you know, I really would love it if you all got involved in the NAACP. And if not, you know, think of us when you're doing programs or whatever and reaching out, because we would love to partner and collaborate as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm coming to you all because I just started that Old Country Boy Mobile Market. That's right, that Old Country Boy Mobile Market, where we come to neighborhoods in the Minneapolis, Hennepin County area, and we sell fresh vegetables and fruits from local farmers, but also from out of, wherever we get them from. You know what I mean? That's healthy. Because most of our people don't have the access to fresh vegetables and fruit. So I'm making a way with that Old Country Boy mobile market, which you can find us on every social media platform, and also on that Old Country Boy mobile market.com. That's that Old Country Boy. I'm just doing my thing now because we're closing. That Old Country Boy.
Right. Last call for alcohol. Thought I'd throw that in there. Just so y'all know it. Last call.
And Bobby Leroy's Kitchen. Don't forget about him. You know what I mean? Because I do make them cakes, baby, and they be buttery, and they from scratch. Not that store bought stuff. And I'm a rustic dude, so don't look for no pretty cakes from me, baby. You gonna get like your grandmama made it, but it's gonna be nice and delicious. Ain't that right, Dennis? And,
Yes, I've had several of them, so I
and
can
Nikki.
attest to that. But really, Angela, I really want to figure out what kind of collaboration you can do to make sure that civic engagement and things are moving forward, that we both be on the same page. Because I mean, I would love to find a way throughout next year, because I know we're gonna be on for mayor next year and some other local elections. How do we get those people known who we voting for, what they do, where they live at, who they hang out with, what they're about, all those things that people don't know about? How do we get those things, in people's faces, make sure we know who our local politicians are? That's why I really want to work with the NAACP to make sure we know those people's names, where they live at, if we ever talk to them, you need to go have lunch with them. How can we get that deep with our local politicians?
Yeah, like the
Just
21 I
start
did,
a civic engagement something.
like the 20 presidential candidates that I didn't know about that was on there. I mean, literally, it was 20, almost 20 presidential candidates on there, and so many parties that I never knew about until I started researching it now because I'm looking at the thing.
Well, it's cute about doing national, but I'm talking about locally. How do we get
So
people
I'm just
involved
saying,
in our local elections, school board, whatever it is, the things that affect us right here in Minnesota? That's where we at. This year is a year to do that, to make sure that everybody know this is going to be an election for our local politicians next year, and really be serious about who those people are and what they can do for us.
No, that's going to be key. And I'm excited to work with you on that for, whether that is a series of programming, particularly like with youth, with that, if that's organizing, like what Ray and I did last year with Cena,
Minnesota
right?
vote, get out the vote. That's what I'm
Yes,
telling you. Yes.
exactly. That was
Get out the vote.
fantastic. That's a great way and opportunity to let people learn on the job, and that's what Anika Bowie with Run Like Harriet. There's so many, like, from, I think, Minnesota Voice, we vote Minnesota, Black Votes Matter Minnesota, all of these groups, like, from that is a real uprising and an energy towards really trying to just engage our community in a way that's next level, because voting is just the entry point, right? Like, voting is that first step, and they're actually voting November 3rd is the last vote you do for that term, because there's earlier with the primaries and things like that. So like, that's just the beginning. There's so many more things. I would also encourage people to look at different, like, commissions, city commissions and boards. They have openings in Minneapolis even now. Different commissions and boards have openings, and even though they usually have it like a fall spring, so they alternate fall spring, but there's that I would really encourage to look at and apply to be on, to be appointed to. So that's something that even all of these boards and commissions and different groups in Minneapolis, a lot of them now, all of their content or all of their meetings are on YouTube. You can go to the city of Minneapolis and subscribe to their YouTube page to stay following what they're talking about. So, like, remember, even in that policing conversation that we were having around the charter amendment, all of those charter amendment, like, meetings that were public, like, those are still online. Like, you can still follow, follow up to date information, because even the charter amendment hasn't ended, right? Like, this is a continuation. So there are things that are happening in our community that there's like public hearing options, all of like public commentary periods, things like that. Like we can still get involved, even if we don't have to run even to be involved in our community. There's so many things that we can. Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, Angela, but I hate to interrupt. It is that time. I want to thank you again. You have been totally informative
Yes.
with us. Just again, we have Angela Meyers here with us from the NAACP, and we've enjoyed you. It's just that time that we have to be exiting. So,
Yes. Give us a booth for like the LG, like Pride do.
Well, yeah.
Minnesota Pride, maybe you can give us a booth also.
Right. So again,
give us a booth. I want a table at Black Pride.
But that will be coming up. But I have to let everybody know. Thank you all for joining us again with the Bye Happy Hour. This is Friday. We'll see you again on Monday. So everybody stay cool, stay safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, and be safe. And we thank you all, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Bye, y'all.